and gentlemen, welcome to the Sly Fox Sports podcast. And I have my good buddy, Aeron Nix.
Where is he?
Or is it again? I can't. I have to figure out this thing.
Hi, gang. Stop it. I'm back to watch American football. I love myself. Such a feminine game. I love it.
Right.
College football, anyway. We're talking about young men.
College football, baby. It is the college football review. And man, did Saturday have a good set of games, man. Great.
Yeah, energy.
Nice
and
big one.
Hot dogs and big old fucking bowls and young men, fresh young men running around a field.
Progress.
That's what we all like, isn't it? America, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We like to spend our weekends watching young men. Mm-hmm.
Brit rest in a nutshell.
Wow, okay. I'm going to forward this video to hashtag speaking out. And then you can explain that comment to the fucking audience. Text you that IWC gets.
Oh, no. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about top 25 first. Mr. Nix, did you watch any of the games?
Of course I didn't. I have some of the Maryland-Minnesota highlights because that was a very exciting game going to overtime. And I also I did watch the full highlights, weirdly enough, of OH versus Penn State. So I don't really remember anyone's names, but there were some good catches by some bloody good footballers, you know?
Yes,
so
indeed.
I feel like by the end of the season, I'm going to be like, yeah, Penn State with the 16-yard offense, 0-8, and I'm going to be throwing out all these stats. But right now, I'm like, just drooling out the side of my mouth. Shout out to your friend, by the way, who watched all of our predictions. Nat, is it Nate? I don't know. I forgot his name now. He left a comment on our YouTube video. Did you not see?
I did not.
Because I said if anyone watched it all the way through, I would have given them $5, but only the first person to say. But he said to keep my pounds.
Nice.
So if you are watching, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, brother.
You're my new favorite fan, and possibly our only fan.
Oh, no. We have more than one fan. We are definitely not an only fan.
Well, we fucking won't by the end of this, mate. I'll make sure of that.
We're not an only fans yet. Like I haven't gotten that desperate yet.
I haven't got my Halloween mask. It was Halloween yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Halloween yesterday.
What? Yeah, you know, my mask I wear for my wrestling entrance got this crazy Slipknot, like rubber sort of latex evil mask, but I can't find it.
Very
I think it's
cool.
back at home, actually, back in my mum's.
Yeah, but, I wore my headphones and a headset and a microphone, and I looked like a head coach or a coordinator. Wore this other shirt.
I mean, it was Halloween yesterday, but I guess the horror show went down if you're a Minnesota fan.
All right, folks, we're going to talk top 25, and in that top 25, we'll go to, well, the biggest game. Number 1, Clemson going up against Boston College. Nobody expecting Boston College to have any chance whatsoever. No Trevor Lawrence for Clemson. Who steps up but DJ Uiagalelei? I practiced that name.
What?
Uiagalelei.
A little bit, just a little bit. You know what? Whatever that song goes.
It reminds me of something from like Moana, or.
Oh yeah, I do. I don't really partake in films for tiny children because it's just not really my deal. But I understand as a parent, you probably watch more than I. I do know Moana though, because the good brother Ray, who used to do the rest plug with me, his little one, who is essentially my niece, even though we're not like a blood relative, she just sees me as an uncle. Yeah, it's quite sweet actually. I think when she was like 4 or 5, her line was, "I love Uncle Aeron because all of his hair is on his chin." It's pretty factual. But yeah, no, the one thing I do know about Moana is it's all like islanders and shit and the rocks and everything. A lot of islanders doing well at this college football market, isn't there?
Right,
like
for sure.
Bambalangalego or whatever his name was.
Oh, wow. So
not racist, it's just a terrible pronunciation.
Yeah, you're good.
If he had my full name, he'd probably have a heart attack. My full name counts for about 27 points on a Russian Scrabble board.
27 points on a Russian Scrabble board. Oh, that's
just
great.
27?
Just 27.
There's some Russian synagogue. 27 is low score. You are shit. 27 is for pussy. Scrabble is for pussy. I prefer to play Battlefield with real tanks and real uranium. Fuck you.
I prefer Boggle over the Scrabble.
I like to collect stamps in my spare time when I'm not murdering communists.
I love how this is just.
Welcome to the college Russian
rails
football.
Already. Welcome to college football, folks.
Hello, I am Vladimir Putin. I am special guest for this podcast.
Oh, no.
I like teams with bears because bear is national animal and possibly greatest animal to ride bicycle. Please have some vodka. Yes, I really hope like a load of Russians are going to get angry.
I do want to.
Completely inaudible Russian.
If you're Russian and you're watching this, rush into the comments.
Oh, God. Fuck yeah, no. I should come over there and stick that flag right up your Putin.
All right, so DJ Uyagalele. Oh, shit.
Excuse me, DJ
Uyagalele. He was 30 of 41, 342 yards, and 2 touchdowns in his first college game. That's a hell of a fucking shift. Now,
it is, although Boston College, ridiculously weak defense. Like I said last time, like on the first show, like, you know, next man up. To be fair, I know that, you know, when you're without your starting quarterback, it's always going to be a lot more difficult. You're not going to be able to just load up the score like you can. But this guy knows the playbook. He's come in, and ultimately Boston College, they were 20-point underdogs coming into this on the spread.
They were 20-point underdogs, but they didn't lose by much.
No, exactly. And I did say they covered the spread, particularly if Lawrence wasn't playing. So obviously I must know a little bit or a little something about this old sport, Elbean. So when I actually work out how to pronounce Mbongo and the Congo's quarterback name, then we'll be well aware. By the way, that's not racist. Mbongo is actually a drink over here, and it is advertised as Mbongo. It's made in the Congo. And it's a tropical fruit.
Is that kind of like Carabao?
Yeah. Huh?
Is that kind of like Carabao?
Yeah, except the Carabao is an energy drink.
Ah.
Carabao is what? Carabao sponsors the League Cup. Remember the Carabao Cup?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an energy drink.
I thought it was an energy drink.
Yeah, no, Mbongo is just like a fruit juice that kids drink.
Oh,
it's
okay.
I don't know. Do you have Ribena over there?
What?
Do you have Ribena over there? No Ribena. What's like a fruit? Like, you got kids. Like, what do your kids drink? Like, you know, you give them a carton of fruit juice. You know, you pop a straw in the top.
Capri Sun or
Capri Sun. We have Capri Sun. I used to drink that like a machine when I was a kid. Lovely stuff. Welcome to the food hour with WrestlePlug and Sly Fox's main broadcasters.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about how many biscuits you can cram in your mouth during a college football game. And ultimately, I prefer mine to be digested, but he's a rich tea man. Whatever. Carton juice and football. That's it.
Football. Right. Travis Etienne. You know, Clemson's #1 guy other than Trevor Lawrence. 20 carries, 84 yards, 1 touchdown, and in the air, 7 receptions, 140 yards, and another touchdown. Etienne's unstoppable for Clemson. I knew that they were going to win this game. I didn't think it was going to be this close, and it almost looked like they weren't going to win. It was 28-13 at the half.
How many yards did he have on the ground?
He had 84 on the ground.
That's ridiculous. He had what, like a 244-yard game?
Yeah, 244-yard game.
This isn't as much of an anomaly, though, is it, in terms of college football? Like in the NFL, that is like, holy cow. But like in college football, it's a little bit easier to run up your numbers.
Yeah, a little bit. Because you get garbage time and stuff like that, and you'll keep them in just to pad the stats. But, like, for BC, there was no attempt that they thought they were going to win this, except for the players on that field for the Boston College Eagles. Phil Jurkovec, 12 for 24, 204 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Is that the starting quarterback for Boston?
That was BC's starting quarterback, yes.
Yeah, see, because like in the opening first, I did see a little bit of the highlights. Like, luckily they're rolling in the background as well, which helps. Like, he seemed to be very light on his feet. He was very good at rolling out of the pocket, running with the ball. So, but I also know that that's again another thing that is quite prominent in college football. And then when you get up to the big leagues, so to speak, that becomes less of a deal unless you're Lamar Jackson, because ultimately when you get popped in the head in that league, it hurts a lot more than it does when you're getting popped in the league by guys who weigh but $180. So,
Right.
and it's just a natural progression. Your body's going to evolve and get bigger. I think what's interesting about college football is the lack of defense by a lot of these teams. Not many of them, like, ultimately.
Look at the Big 12.
Yeah, well, I hear about, exactly, like, for instance, LSU, who have been fairly prominently, Alabama, Clemson. These are all teams that know how to actually play a relative amount of defense. So I've noticed that the ones who normally win the national championship have the ability to actually stop teams from scoring a lot. Whereas the majority of teams do just kind of go, a little bit behind.
Let's go into a good old Western shootout and just throw it.
I imagine that's quite good from a neutral perspective. But I think one of the biggest problems is what's it, Wagalele?
Ugalalele.
Ugalalele. That's amazing. Like, if that isn't a fucking song in the making, like, surely the Clemson fans must have a song for that.
Oh, they've got to have something by now.
It's like Shoda Obi, like
Yep.
Yeah, from New Gear, like they always sing in out, shake it all about with Shoda Obi, because it just seems to work. So I'm assuming if you are a Clemson fan of any kind and happen to find this because for some ungodly reason you have nothing better to do with your time, let me know if there's a funky song from Mr. Mbongo in the Congo, Ooga Lala Lele, Ooga Lala Lele, Ooga Lala Lele,
Ooga Lala Lele,
Ooga Lala, Ooh la la. Maybe he's French, I don't know. Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I just love his name. Ooga Lala Lele. Over here, they charge you per letter for printing on the back of your jersey. I assume that's not a thing over there, because if it was, this geezer would be running up the bill.
Surely DJU.
I was going to say, if they put the whole name on, does it just circle all the way round the number? I think that's just like,
it goes on the back.
He just comes out looking like he's got alphabet spaghetti all over him, because it's just like everywhere. Like, there's no more room for letters for Mbongo in the Congo, Ooga Lala Lele.
You'd be
Which
surprised.
Is now his name, Mbongo in the Congo, Ooga Lala Lele.
There are some names out there that are like hyphenated twice or three times over, and they're starting on one shoulder and they're ending up like there's a flap on the other shoulder for the name tag.
I do like a flap on the shoulder, it has to be said. For anyone who's known me a long time, I do love a flap on the shoulder. Yeah, no, fair enough. To be honest, nothing's ever going to beat Clinton Ha Dix. Like, that is an extraordinarily unfortunate name.
Alabama.
Or left tackle Willie Colon.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
Don't forget about don't forget about Benjamin Gay.
Don't forget Stefan Kuntz, who used to play in the midfield for Germany. Yeah.
All right.
Lamano Luar.
So Tyson.
Oh, we also had a player called Benjani Marijuani. Come on.
Yeah, that's true.
He wasn't stoned to fight. He also looked like Bob Marley. Anyway, back to your football.
The Steelers have a defensive lineman named Tyson Alualu. So
yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, he really is good. Actually, he got knocked out in this game.
I think quite a few people turned up for that.
Yeah, they did. In this Clemson game, we saw what the freshmen can do. We saw Travis Etienne stand in, and be the main guy. Now the question is, can they do it against Notre Dame? I don't know. BC is a whole different beast compared to the Irish.
I mean, BC, don't forget it's me going out on a limb saying BC are not even close to the level of a Notre Dame. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Well, I mean, there are massive portions of this game where, to be fair, BC were, at one point they had the lead. Like, they weren't terrible. I think they covered the spread in the end. And, Notre Dame are going to be looking at it thinking, there's plenty of tape there to exploit what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. If Notre Dame's defense can get to DJ early and make it to where if they can stop ETN and get to DJ early, it's going to be a bad game for Clemson. Do I think that Clemson's going to lose this one? By the performance that they performed with against BC, yes. I think I'm putting it out there right now. Clemson loses to Notre Dame next week. Sorry, Tigers fans, if you are watching. And again, sorry, because I'm an Alabama fan. I don't really have that much of a passion for Clemson. But still, Trevor Lawrence is your guy. But now you know that you've got a future with DJ Uiagalelei.
DJ Uiagalelei. Coming to a new album soon. Now, 87. That's music with hits like DJ Uiagalelei does Rednex's Cotton Eye Joe.
Oh, Jesus
Where did you
Christ.
come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
Going into my Crimson Tide, number 2 in the country.
I'm surprised you didn't start with Alabama.
No, you always start with number 1.
You always go with the rankings, do you?
Yeah, exactly.
Boston College. This was one thing, by the way, that I noticed while I was watching highlights from these games, and it's something I've noticed for years, never really bothered to really ask. So, chance to educate me, I suppose. I noticed that, like, for instance, Clemson ranked number 1, so they had a number 1 next to their name. Boston College didn't have a ranked number. Is that because they're not top 25?
They're not top 25. That's correct.
Okay, so what?
If you have a ranked number next to you, it is because you are in the top 25, either in the AP poll or the coaches poll.
So do you still have a ranking? It's just that it's not prominent enough to be okay. Because ultimately, that would be one hell of a fight between number 26 to 285 if they were just like, fight amongst yourselves for the next load, lads. I want 26. Fuck you.
If you're not in the 20, if you're not in the top 25, then you have. If you look at the polls, if you ever look at the polls, there'll be other votes, and on the bottom there'll be like 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, blah 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 blah. So whoever's closer to get into that top 25 is 26, 27, 28, and so forth.
I must admit, I'll tell you what, on offense especially, there were a lot of mistakes made by Clemson. And I'm going to struggle with names, obviously, but one of the players, I think he handed it off to the running back, and the idea was he was going to shovel it again, almost like a flea flicker or something, and he just literally fumbled the ball. And Sebastian on the other team, I didn't know because I saw his back. Yeah. He just ran it all the way back for a touchdown. I just thought, this is number 1, making mistakes like that. And I suppose that's the difference.
And that's one of the reasons that I don't think Clemson is going to beat Notre Dame is because of those mistakes. Mind you, DJ didn't make the mistakes. It was on Etienne. And Travis Etienne is a senior. Hell, he's I believe he's a 5th-year senior. This is his last year. He wants another title. No, technically, you can have 5 years as in college.
Yeah,
if you
very
want
rare,
to.
Though, isn't it, for a player to not?
Very rare. Very rare.
He must not fancy his chances of getting a decent contract. He's in his 5th year here, surely. But he is at the number 1 in Clemson.
I think Travis Etienne wanted to come back to win a ring. He wanted another title.
Also, he probably gives a shit about his education. I look a lot.
Yeah, probably that too.
That probably helps. That's why Andrew Luck stayed in, did he? I think Andrew Luck stayed in.
Yeah, Andrew Luck stayed in.
Wanted his
There's been a couple of people that have stayed in for that 5th year, and people are like, well, why'd you stay in for your 5th year? Or, there'll be juniors, because as soon as you're a junior, you can go into the draft.
Yeah.
There'll be juniors that will come back for their senior year, and they're like, why'd you do that? You could have got millions.
I'd like to know what the disparity is between white and African-American players as to who goes into the draft early or not. Because I'm willing to bet for an impoverished background, especially this isn't a race thing. It's just statistically plausible. The majority of African American families live far poorer lives than white families do because of privilege. Yeah. And ultimately, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a massive disproportion in the numbers where black players are willing to sort of take their chances in the NFL draft, because any kind of payday in the NFL is going to be, atmospheric in comparison to whatever you could do from a scholarship basis.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely a lot.
Thing I will say all night. So
there's definitely a lot more African American players that go into the draft early than there are.
It just seems very, it just seems like that's kind of a thing that would.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. Maybe.
But also, it's because another thing is, look at a guy like Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is a junior this year. If he's the fastest player in college football. Fastest player in college football. He wouldn't have got hurt. Hell, even if he is hurt. He goes out and says, okay, I'm not coming back next season. I'm going to go into the draft. He's still going to be a first-round draft pick. Because he can run routes. He's fast as hell. And that's what people look for in the NFL. They want speed. They want route running. And they want to be able to know that they can trust you going down the field and take that ball. So,
did you see Lewis's catch in the end zone right at the end of the half? I was just like, he's like I don't know who was at quarterback, but the fucking state of it, bro. He was just like, but this guy's like kind of whoa. He's like quite. I thought it was quite cool, to be honest. It's not a play you're going to see in the NFL as much. It's yeah. I mean, honestly, I was a little bit surprised at how quickly Boston ran up the score. So yeah. I mean, do we show love to Clemson and say congratulations on making such a fantastic comeback, even though it's against a team that's not even ranked? Or do we say that's a massive discrepancy and that's why Notre Dame's probably going to give you a shit kicking if you turn up and try and play them? Because I don't think – I mean, I am British, so ultimately I'm going to be a bit more pessimistic because, hello, British. Right. And I'm going to be like, as a dour Brit, I'm probably going to sit here and say, well, you were 28-10 down to fucking Boston College at one point. You know, I'm not really that impressed that you were able to come back against a team that God knows what ranking Boston College has, but obviously it's not in the top 25. And yeah, ultimately, I'm sitting there thinking, that's not impressive. Like, what's impressive is if you come back against, I don't know, a ranked team or an LSU of some sort. But
if they get into the same situation against Notre Dame and end up doing the same thing that they just did to Boston College, then I will give Clemson props. I will give Clemson all the props in the world.
Notre Dame aren't going to have a 28-13 lead at the half and lose. That's not going to happen.
It's college football. Anybody can win any other sport.
No, but I don't buy that. Like, you know, I mean, to be honest, when I watched these highlights, I was like, wow, Boston College are actually really fucking good. Like, we were taking a piss a little bit, but they look really good. I can't believe they're not ranked. And ultimately, obviously, they lose, but you know, I don't know if this is a case of, I mean, they came in a 4-2 record. I don't know, because obviously I'm not educated in the subject as much. Is it a case of they've come in and just thrown their best right hook at them?
Once you get 6 games under your belt, 6 wins, you're bowl eligible. So that's what everybody's goal is to get that 6 win.
Isn't there like 5,000 different bowls?
Right now there's 40 plus the college football playoff bowl.
There's a Tostito Bowl, isn't there?
Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Yep, that's one of the college football.
Fiesta Bowl. How is that not exclusively for Lucha Libre football teams?
I've got the list of the bowl names. We can go over those at the end.
That needs to be a separate podcast, just so
we can do that for sure.
Whenever I hear it, right, I just assume that if you win, you get given this giant bowl with whatever the bowl is. So if it's Tostitos, it's like, have a shitload of Mexican stuff in a bowl. There you go.
No.
Sugar bowl. It's made exclusively of candy. Have some candy, you twat. You know.
The only
Rose bowl. Oh, great. Flowers. Thanks. I really appreciate that.
The Rose Bowl, they do give you roses. To like put
very English flower to be handing over to the Americans.
And then at the Orange Bowl, you do get a trophy, and inside the trophy are like a shit
tangerines.
Yeah.
They should give that a Severe.
All right. So enough about Clemson. Let's talk about Alabama. Let's talk about.
I look forward to you splicing all of these out, man. Fucking hell.
Oh, this is gonna be fun. Let's talk about the number 2 team in the country beating up Mississippi State 41-0.
Ooh.
Was not a game at all. The thing I want to talk about is Devontae Smith, or in my very first podcast, I called him the Georgia Bulldog Killer. I'm going to change that name. He is the SEC Killer. He is the college football god right now because he has tied Amari Cooper's career touchdown receptions and yard mark at Alabama. Unbelievable. The kid is a monster. And to think, not even 2 years ago, he was a 3rd string, 4th string that Tua Tagovailoa found in the middle or in the back of the end zone because he got open. And now here he is in a prominent stage just showing out. absolutely showing out. He had 11 catches, 203 yards, and four touchdowns. Fucking insane. Mac Jones, 24-31, 291 yards, 4 touchdowns. Just padding his stats even more to say that the quarterback for Alabama, I'm sorry, everybody's giving him shit because, he plays for Alabama and, blah, blah, blah. The man had three.
College football.
Yeah, pretty much. The man had 3 400-yard games. And one of those 400-yard games was against a Georgia defense that was supposedly lights out. So you're telling me that this kid doesn't deserve at least a sniff on the Heisman vote? Nobody's giving him a
Who's favorite for the Heisman right now?
Trevor Lawrence.
Well, that can't be the case if he's not going to play a couple of games, surely.
You would think.
Heisman if you're missing.
The only the next guy up for the Heisman other than Trevor Lawrence is Zach Wilson from BYU. Mac Jones is in the running, but nobody's talking about him, which is highly, highly irritating to me, seeing as he is the only SEC quarterback other than, I think, Archie Manning and Joe Namath to have 3 400-yard games in a season.
That's some very interesting company he's got there as well.
Exactly. And they're not even giving him a sniff at the Heisman.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't.
Because it's Alabama, because it's taken for granted? The Nick Saban quarterback, right?
No, because Nick Saban's quarterbacks really don't. I mean, Tua Tagovailoa was in the Heisman running. It's been mostly like the receivers and the running backs that have been in the Heisman more often for Nick. Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, both won the Heismans for Alabama.
Yeah, those scrubs.
Yeah, those scrubs.
Especially that Derrick Henry, mate. Was he only running for like 2? Well, he certainly was a scrub this weekend. I can say it.
No, he wasn't. He still got over 100 yards.
Yeah, and they lost.
Yeah, well, he can't do everything.
Scrub, mate. Sorry, but if you can't run 300 yards on Cincinnati, you don't deserve to be in this league.
Speaking of running, Najee Harris, 21 carries, 119 yards. He didn't get in the end zone, but, I mean, he didn't have to. It was all this game, this Mississippi State game was the Mac Jones, Devontae Smith game. I'm putting it out there right now.
Like a young Rodgers, Devontae Adams is what it was.
Kind of.
Watching that link up was pretty wild.
Yeah, it was insane. Like, Mac Jones' number one target now is Devontae Smith because there's no Jalen Waddle. But he knows that he can go to his tight end Miller Forrestall, or he can go to that second string receiver in John Mechie III. It doesn't matter who he goes to. He could go to Slade Bolden, who just took Jalen Waddle's spot, and he had a couple of good catches in this game in mop-up duty, but still, he's getting the reps because he has to. Because next week for Alabama is a big one because it's a bye week. I got you there. But the week after, that's the big one because it's LSU.
I realized college teams had the bye week.
Yeah. The remaining Alabama schedule is LSU in 2 weeks, Kentucky, Auburn, the Iron Bowl, and Arkansas. I'm sorry. That seems like, I'm putting it out there right now, undefeated season. Let's go into the college football playoff undefeated and take our title back.
Does the playoff still have 4?
Yes.
Because that's only a recent thing as well, isn't it?
College football playoff is a recent thing. They got rid of the BCS. It is only 4 teams, which they're talking about maybe next year doing 8, which I wouldn't mind 8 because that would then mean. But the thing with that is, and this could go into a whole nother podcast for this, but the reason they don't want to go to 8 is because they don't want to take away from the bowl experience and take away from the endorsements from the bowl games.
Yeah, I imagine the sponsorship money's wild for those.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How much are the players getting in a kickback from that?
I have no idea. I don't think anything
Legally, fuck all.
Right.
Legally, there's probably a bit.
There's probably somebody getting
As rightfully so, frankly.
Exactly. But
not everybody gets paid at the highest level.
Exactly. But you look at, if there's 8 teams playing in a college football playoff game, that's putting 8 bowl games in the spotlight. That's not taking away from the bowl experience. That's making it better. Because it's putting it more in a national spotlight.
But it means that the bowls mean more as well, because there isn't as many.
Right. Well, they'll
mean something.
They'll take those 8 bowls that were in the college football playoff, and they'll replace them with like the RL Carriers New Orleans Bowl.
Just I personally, from like, obviously it's very different because I'm not American, so I don't appreciate the traditions on a nationalistic heritage that other people might. But from my perspective as a neutral fan, somebody looking outside the bubble in, I'm sitting there thinking it's just very overly convoluted, and it feels like, oh, participation trophies. I'm not about that. I think that you earn your fucking trophies. I think you earn your bowls. And if you're in a bowl just because you won 6 games, you could have won 6 games against literally a bunch of scrubs, like, you know, against a bunch of fucking kids in fucking tutus. Like, it could mean literally nothing. So,
yeah.
And then you're stuck in, I don't know, whatever, the Cheeto Bowl or whatever it might be. And, you know, you're sitting there thinking, you know, the Capri Sun tropical fucking juice bowl or whatever. Like, and you just think, well, great. Like, why should I care about that? Ultimately, things like the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, those are things that actually matter. They count. You know, they mean something. They feel like they've got a lot of heritage, a lot of class around them and distinction. Yeah. Do we have a Skittles Bowl?
Not yet. There's no Skittles.
That's a surprise. What about a Mars Bar Bowl?
Nope.
Fish and Chips Bowl?
No fish and chips bowl. They did have a Long John Silver's bowl at one point.
Long John Silver's bowl. You're not helping yourself, are you?
The 4 prominent bowls right now, of course, are the orange, the sugar, the peach, and the rose. And then there's the National College Football Playoff Championship game, which is played at one of the same places. But yeah, there's a bunch of bowl games. They play in the Bahamas. They play in Hawaii. But yeah.
I thought she was talking to you.
No, she's talking about the puppies.
Don't forget about the Punch Bowl.
Yeah. They spiked the Punch Bowl.
Yeah.
I
bet they did. With all those young men running around.
The next game we're going to talk about is number 3, Ohio State, going up against Ohio State. Ohio State ended up winning 38-25. It wasn't a game, in my opinion. The only reason it was actually a game is because of Jahan Dotson for Penn State and his 3 unbelievable touchdown catches. This guy was stretching. He was trying to one-hand him. It's insane. The guy's nuts. But that puts Penn State at 0-2, which will probably knock them out of the rankings. So Ohio State is ranked 3rd right now. Everybody's saying, oh, well, Ohio State should jump Alabama because they beat a ranked team. The only 2 teams that Ohio State's played is Nebraska and this one, because they had to start late because they didn't want to play your fall season. Alabama's beaten Georgia. Alabama. What?
No, just like, I like your insincerity about it. Like, oh, they didn't want to die from a global pandemic, pussy. It's like, get out there and play football, America. You know, like, I mean, I personally think you're being very harsh on Penn State. I think they turned up and played a reasonable game, actually. From the game I watched, I thought Penn State, this was the game that I watched the full highlights on, and I thought Penn State, yeah, they didn't really, you know, obviously, it was a case of trying to put it back, but it didn't go away. You know, like a lot of these guys go away, and they just get blown out. But they, you know, ultimately, I'm told that, you know, if you lose, you know, if you get win, the one thing I remember from listening to years upon years of ESPN and every other sports thing you can imagine, even if I didn't know what they were talking about, I'd still listen. And the one thing that would always stand out to me when they're talking about college football was wins against ranked opposition. Wins against ranked opposition meant you were more eligible for a bowl, particularly a decent bowl, you know. And then when it was still a voting process and there were no playoffs, it was like, who makes the national championship? Well, they've got wins against 3 ranked teams. Then it would come down to how many points you put on said ranked teams. Ultimately, if Alabama hasn't been a ranked team yet, I don't think it hurts that much if you put them ahead of them for now, because by the time Alabama's done, especially with the remaining fixtures they've got on that docket, pretty obvious Alabama will leapfrog them anyway.
Yeah.
Surely at this point in time, you have to kind of look at it and say, well, the Buckeyes, when it's all said and done, probably won't have the high-profile wins with the high-profile performances. But at the same time, you're talking about the here and now. And it doesn't matter if the season started late or not. Ultimately, they've got 2 wins. One of them, both of them against ranked, or just one?
Just one.
Just one. Like, it's still a ranked win.
Yeah.
Call me when Alabama does something that I care about, a.k.a. blow out LSU.
Alabama beat Georgia. They were 3rd ranked. Alabama was 2nd ranked.
You told me, all right, I don't know. I was trying to keep up with you, but
it's all good.
You'd implied that they should leapfrog Alabama because they had a win over a ranked opponent.
Right.
But why would that be the case if Alabama has one too?
Alabama beat an unranked opponent in Mississippi State this week.
So
they're saying that
wins.
Ohio State should jump Alabama because they beat a ranked opponent instead of an unranked opponent. The polls are weird.
I mean, if they've both got a win, then it doesn't really matter, does it? If they've both got one win against ranked opponents, that means that they're pretty much on a par, unless you want to really delve into it and say, well, they put up so-and-so amount of points over so-and-so.
Right.
This is why I think a lot of people outside of America especially are turned off by the concept of college football.
Yeah,
because it's cut and dry in the NFL. There are 32 teams. You make the playoffs, you don't. You win the playoffs, you win the Super Bowl, boom, you're the best. In college football, it's like, oh, well, you might be the best, but it depends on whether you beat this ranked team. And if this ranked team doesn't do this, and this team, if this team doesn't suck your lollipop the right way, then ultimately, and they do, and then that lollipop wins, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't get it. Just fucking, if they win games, they should be in. Knockouts shouldn't be that. But ultimately, I understand why it's that difficult, because there's 250 plus college teams.
There's a bunch of
and then there's divisions 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a conference league or whatever you might want to call it over there. And gives you an headache. It's too much to chase. And ultimately, I think, especially as I'm not American, I didn't go to a alma mater or college or whatever you want to call it. So from my perspective, I'm like, ooh, Boise State Broncos, same name as my NFL team. They've got a blue pitch. I'll support them. That's the reason I supported them. Not because I'm like, yeah, I spent 3 years at Georgia Tech studying marijuana, so I'm like, go fucking team. Great, there's so many things. The community colleges, they have teams and stuff like that.
Yeah, community colleges have football.
I assume they're quite low end in terms of.
There's a lot of JUCO, junior college teams that some of these kids that come out of being true freshmen and stuff get into trouble with the NCAA. They'll get sent to JUCO, play a year there, and then come back.
Junior college or?
Yeah, junior college.
Why is it called junior college? As in juvenile?
No, not juvenile.
Over here, if young people have problems, they can go to things like juvenile systems, which will look after them if they're troublemakers or whatever.
Right. Junior college is more like a community college. So a local college. So it's not a big name.
Not funded well or anything.
Right. It's not very funded.
Community college is basically afforded to people who come from incredibly low-income families who can't get scholarships, isn't it?
Something like that. Yeah.
I was going to say one of my good friends, a buddy called Charles, who lives in Brooklyn. He goes to Brooklyn Community College, and ultimately he said that the reason he was able to get in there was because he comes from an incredibly, he's Puerto Rican, comes from a very low-income family. So I was just fascinated as to whether they had representation. But I imagine because of the lack of funding, they're never going to get close to being ranked.
No. Junior colleges don't get to be ranked.
Do you not think this would benefit from a knockout system like March Madness?
I would love for it to be like that, but they'll never do it.
Is that because it's too harsh? One game and you're out of here?
No, I think it's because
they still have a regular season.
They'll have it the regular season, but
easier to rank them then.
Their thing with when they were coming up with the playoff system, people were saying we should do a March Madness kind of thing. But then you would have you would have to have a bowl game representing each game. So
why don't you just get rid of bowls?
That's the thing, is all that money, all that sponsorship money.
I understand that.
Because a lot of that sponsorship money goes to the schools that are performing in the game, and that can constitute scholarships, which constitutes better players, which makes the teams better, which gives us more of a chance.
It just seems astonishing it's taken this long to even get to any kind of playoff system.
Yeah, it is.
Like March Madness from a TV spectacle would be insane. Can you imagine if they took the top 64 teams and went, right, knockout, boys, FA Cup style, away you go. One and you're done. Simple as that. The intensity of it, and it would mean that ultimately you'd have to be really special to get to a national championship and win it. And I think that's probably why, for instance, college basketball is such an easier sport to transition into if you like the NBA. You can watch that quite easily as well. Very easy to determine rankings. It's very easy to determine who wins because ultimately, you've got to go through that knockout system to win. Obviously, knockout sports is a big thing over here, the FA Cup, the Champions League, all of these playoff-based systems. Playoffs are the same as knockouts to a certain extent. So, yeah, it just works a bit better, I think. I think that's probably the biggest part. Obviously, it's for a different podcast, so I'll leave it there. But it'd be nice to kind of talk about the differences because some of these sports transition really well. Others don't. A lot of people I know love NFL, wouldn't have a clue which college team to pick.
Right. And yeah, we can talk about that in another podcast about all the bowls and how.
Yeah, let's get back to Mbongo, Congo, DJ, Lua, La, 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 Ding Dong, and how he did. Well,
you were close. You were close.
Yeah,
but
it was DJ in there, and there's Ooh La La. It's DJ Ooh La La.
Ooga La La Lele.
Ooga La La Lele. Yeah, that's I'm gonna write that down.
I'm definitely tagging him in this. DJ, I'm tagging you in this post.
Don't do that because he'll claim I'm racist.
If I'm wrong on the pronunciation, I want him to give me a.
I don't actually think you're from the Congo if you do watch this, by the way.
No, definitely not from the Congo. He's actually
I will say one thing. You are clearly very talented. I've noticed, actually, in college football, the more crazy-ass vowels you have in your name, the more talented you are. So, as is the case with Taulia Tagovailoa. It's close. Tua's younger brother, isn't it?
Tua's younger brother. Yep. Nope, his younger brother.
Are we sure that it's not the same guy and he's just sort of thought, I'll play back-to-back games because I'm bored, and he's just gone out of them because he looked he looks similar, but his hairstyle and he's, I think, Tua. Oh, yeah, because I could see that underneath the helmet.
Tua, I think, is a little bit taller than Tua.
So it's Tua and Tawalia.
It's Tua and then Tua Tawalia Tagovailoa.
This is great. Like, it's like Samoan spelling bee.
Taulia.
Ultimately, we're the special needs ones here. So.
All right, going back to the Ohio State and Penn State game. Justin Fields. Oi, oi.
Oi, oi.
Justin Fields had 28 of 34, 318 yards, 4 touchdowns. Rushing for Ohio State, Master Teague the third.
I saw him, and he is now my favorite player. Master Teague the third.
Yes.
If he doesn't turn up to his graduation with a monocle, I'll be very disappointed, young man. Hello, I'm Master Teague the third. You might know me and my father, Lord Chadwick the secondary. We used to hunt elephants with muskets, you know.
Yes.
What? Back in the old colony days when this shithole used to belong to Britain, I tell you what, I used to get my blunderbuss and chase elephants around the yard while those filthy Native Americans got in my way. Tally-ho.
Oh, boy. Master Teague had 23 carries, 110 yards, and a touchdown.
I thought his name was Master T when I first heard it. Yo, Master T, put another one on. I was like, what? Master T? Is that like
the guy I want to talk.
Just out of curiosity, if Booker T has a son, is he called Master T? Because over here we call youngsters Master, like young men are called Master.
Right.
So would Booker T?
No, I think it's just like little T or whatever.
Little T.
Called.
Little T. White tea with 2 sugars, whatever it works, I guess.
I was gonna say something. I was gonna say something, but I won't because that.
I'm sure. You keep your casual American racism to yourself. Thank you very much. We're talking about colonies, dear boy. That's not racism. That's just
No,
the
not at
empire
all.
rules. The empire is still a thing, mate. We're
Oh.
taking Canada back first, and then we're coming for you.
The guy I want to talk about in this Ohio State game was Chris Olave. 7 receptions, 120 yards, and his 2 touchdowns were absolute top 10 Sports Center highlights.
Un fuego.
Fucking insane. He jumped.
An athlete, that boy.
Yeah, he is. And to think that I think he's only a junior.
I thought you were going to say something entirely different. There.
Yeah, he's a
"Oh,
junior.
God almighty."
He's a junior from San Marcos, California.
I like how you put a proper Latina twang on that one. Son of Marcos.
San Marcos.
I'm Santos Escobar.
Yeah.
Un fuego. Tengo el gato los pantalones.
Oh, Jesus.
Señor.
This went far off the
Oh,
rails
fucking,
already.
by the way, I love it's. We're 2 days away from Day of the Dead. Oh yeah.
Yes.
That's so much better than Halloween. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
much better. Come on, man. Mexico's fucking amazing. Can you stop murdering people and selling drugs just so I can come over and enjoy Day of the Dead for a few days? And you can go back to your murdering and skinning people alive and burning them and whatever you guys do in Juarez and all that good shit. And I'm down for that. I've got no problem with anything you do. Please don't murder me. But ultimately, I love Mexico and I'd like to go to Mexico and not die, preferably. And ultimately, because of the way I look, people will probably think I'm Mexican, which means I'm probably going to get shot quicker when they realise that I can't speak any Spanish. And so please let me go to Mexico. I love Mexico. I love your heritage. I love your wrestling. I've always wanted to wrestle in Mexico. I just want to see Day of the Dead. Stop murdering people for just a week. And then you can go back to your Coke and all that crazy stuff. By the way, I'll take £2, please.
Next game we'll talk about as we get off that subject.
Oh, shit.
The Georgia Bulldogs just stinking up the place, really. They won.
That's I do believe that's Tony Schiavone's team, is it not?
Yes, it is. And
I told you they'd shit the bed.
And Cody
Just like him.
and Cody Rhodes' team.
I don't care about Cody Rhodes. He's fine. Leave Cody alone. Tony Schiavone's the bitch here.
14-3, they beat Kentucky.
Never respect a man who wears slacks with a blazer.
They didn't even cover the spread in this game.
Which spread was it?
They were 17-point favorites.
Yeah, see, I thought they had low pay.
The over-under was 42, so they were way under.
What was the final score?
14-3.
Oh, dear. Not a fun game.
Your boy Stetson Bennett IV, the mailman, 9 of 13, 131 yards and 2 interceptions.
You can take the piss all you want, but I think you're fine. 9 of 13 amounts to over 60% pass completion rate, does it not?
Okay, but 2 interceptions. No touchdown.
Well, he's good with a bad man. It's just the way it is. Plus, the mailman always delivers. I'm just saying. They may have been special deliveries. If they weren't signed for, he's got to take them back.
Yeah, but he's no Carl
How the job
Malone.
works, mate. He's fine.
No
9 of 13 is a good game, I think.
Okay. The reason that Georgia won this game is Zamir
How many yards
White,
did he have?
131.
That's pretty impressive off of 9 throws.
Yeah.
What happened? Why was it that bad? Is his offensive line made of, graham crackers?
It was just a shit
That
game.
was for the Americans out there, because I know if I said digestive biscuits, like, hey man, what's a digestive? Hey man, I've got a digestive system. I know no idea. I ain't got biscuits down there though, bro.
It was just a really shit game. He really didn't have to.
Were they ranked?
Yeah, they're ranked 5th. Georgia's
Bulldogs are ranked 5th. And
Yeah.
sorry, who did they beat 14-3?
Kentucky.
Are they ranked?
No, they're not ranked.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Tostito bowl for you boys then, isn't it?
The reason that they won this game is Zamir White, 26 carries, 136 yards, and a touchdown. Their leading receiver was their other running back, James
That must
Cook.
be so boring. In college football, to go 14-3 is actually really hard.
Yeah, I did not watch.
Maybe they're just world class on defense.
I was watching, I was flipping back and forth between the games and such, and I pop in on this one. I'm like, 14-3. Really? And mind you, it was 7-0 in the first quarter. Then it was 7-3 at the half. Then it was 14-3 by the third quarter. So the fourth quarter, they just said, "Fuck it, we don't need to be here. Fuck it, we win."
I can't find the highlights of that because that surely must have been under 2 minutes. Like,
Had to be.
I watched Maryland and Northwestern. That was like fucking the highlights were fucking longer than some of the other games that you watch. Like,
right. Next game we'll talk about is Notre Dame going into the game against Clemson. They beat up on Georgia Tech 31-13.
Did you say they went into Clemson?
They're going into. Well, actually, they're going to.
Oh, I was going to say, is Georgia Tech in Clemson? What the fuck's going on? My brain.
Georgia Tech's in Atlanta. That's the one that Roman Reigns went to.
Yeah, we like that one.
Yep. That's right. We do like that one, even though they're getting the piss taken out of them.
Well, yeah, I have seen the whippings that have been handed out. Yes, that was pretty ugly.
Next,
bit old watching Roman Reigns before the heel turn.
Next week's game for Notre Dame is in South Bend at home against Clemson, and they beat Georgia Tech on Saturday 31-13. Ian Book 18-26, 199 yards and a touchdown. Their running back Kyron Williams. I almost said Kieris. My bad. Kyron Williams, 15 carries, 76 yards, 2 TDs. It just had a good offensive meld. The only reason that Georgia Tech really scored is a 93-yard scoop and score by Zamari Walton, which that was a fluke. Just a quick fumble Ruski, and off he goes. But other than that, just Notre Dame looks strong. And going into this Clemson game, knowing that they don't have Trevor Lawrence, they're probably licking their chops right now saying, "Oh, bring them. Bring them." Because it's a night game too, under the lights in South Bend with that golden dome in the background. The Irish are ready to fight. Now, will the Tigers fight them? Huh?
Nothing new there.
Right.
Nothing new there. Fighting Irish for a reason, man. Yeah. If you've ever had a fist fight with an Irish gentleman, and I have, it's
fun.
An experience.
Yeah.
I mean, Miller here, he'd be out after one punch. Jaw,
Not
mate.
one.
Glass
Two
jaw,
at
mate.
least.
Glass jaw.
Okay.
Look at that chin on him. I bet Jules has knocked him out many a time. Has Jules ever sparked you out? Has she ever struck you? Has she not?
I mean, she's struck me, but
comes across as really lovely.
Not with her fist. I reckon
it's like a dog. As soon as the cameras are off, motherfucker, you best get your ass in the house.
She's never hit me with her fist. She's hit me with the back of her hand.
She hit you with her rhythm stick.
She's hit me with her bazungas.
Oh, so now okay, so it's all right for him to just be like huge knocks, but I mean, I'm just saying the obvious. I'm not saying I want to grab them. I'm just saying that they're there.
They're there.
It would be
they are there.
To comment on the size of.
Love you, honey.
Hi.
She's gonna kill me. But
this is a really greasy, degrading podcast. I like it. It's definitely up my alley. Definitely.
This is definitely.
This is where all the seedy college football kids come when they want to listen to fucking just dirt. Like, we can't have sex because of the lockdown, so let's listen to these two cretins talk about fucking bazongas. Marvelous.
And a little bit of
yeah. Anyway, Fighting Irish get the win. I believe they covered the spread, did they not?
Good question. They did cover the spread, yes. No. They did not. Notre Dame was a 20-point favorite. They won 31-13, so they were under the spread.
18, yeah.
The over-under was 59, so they didn't even reach.
I did have the under Notre Dame, but I think I had Notre Dame also covering the spread, so.
Yeah. We'll have to go back to the.
What do you mean we have to go? We have to go back, Jack. Ultimately, good Lost reference there for anyone who watched Lost. Well, actually, you would say that we'd have to go back. Kate. By the way, the woman who played Kate, what was her name? Evangeline Lilly.
Evangeline Lilly.
She's fucking worth it. Just saying. She's like my dream woman, man. She's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that instead.
Yeah.
Just put up in the middle of the edit like loads of pictures of Angelina Lee. That'll get the fucking numbers up. Yeah. That's what you're doing with those massive bazongas, mate. It's like fucking. It's like a reproduction of Stomp in your house. Last night I dreamt of San Pedro. I mean, I've got fairly beastly like memories for a man, but yeah, Jules is. I've got nothing on Jules, man. She could fucking knock out a parking meter with those things.
She probably could.
Probably good, yeah. Talk about flotation devices. You could probably get a few refugees on the back of her.
Oh, no. No.
Well, my whole family is built up of immigration, so go fuck yourselves. I don't care.
The next game
half
we'll
Egyptian,
talk about
half Australian, a quarter fucking Portuguese. Fuck off.
as we change the subject. The next game we talk about is a big upset, actually. Texas going into Stillwater, into Oklahoma State, and knocking off the number 6 team in the country, 41-34 in overtime. This game.
I had Oklahoma State as well.
And I'm just going to say it right now. There was a pass interference call near the end of the game where they got their feet the receiver from Oklahoma State and the corner from Oklahoma State and the receiver from Texas got their feet kind of tangled, like they clipped feet, and then he moved like another couple yards and then went down, almost like a soccer play.
Soccer?
Yeah.
Fair. Like, you can call it soccer, particularly here, because obviously differentiation is much easier that way.
Right. But
don't think you're getting away with that on the Premier League review, you cheeky cretin.
Never.
Probably do that after this.
We could.
Nobody cares about Fulham versus West Brom. I'll be the only person in the whole country watching it.
Probably. But they called that pass interference, and because of that set up Texas's leading touchdown. And it was ridiculous. Like, you could clearly see they touched feet, yes, but he went like 2 or 3 yards and then dived. Like, come on.
Come on.
And because of that, Texas ended up beating Oklahoma State 41-34 with subpar numbers from their main players. Sam Ehlinger, 18 of 34, 169 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Brian Robinson, their leading running back, 13 carries, 59 yards. Their leading receiver was Josh Smith, 7 receptions, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Like, that's pathetic numbers for a Texas team that is normally, lights out. But you go up against Oklahoma State's numbers. Spencer Sanders had 27 passes. He was 27 of 39, 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That's insane. Mind you, this is the Big 12. They have no defense there. I don't understand why they even have defensive coordinators on staff, because there is no defense in the Big 12. Chuba Hubbard, he's one of the Heisman hopefuls. He only had 25 carries for 72 yards. Just like some of these numbers, just ridiculous. But you look at the Big 12 now, it's all up in the air. The standings for that division is ridiculous. Now with Oklahoma State losing and Texas beating them, Texas essentially is the number 1 team in the Big 12. And they're 4-2. Oklahoma State's a 4-1. That was their only loss. But then you've got Oklahoma coming out of the gate, coming back, getting ready to go up against Texas, getting ready to go up against Oklahoma State. You've got Kansas State, who just lost their starting quarterback, so they're probably going to start dropping. West Virginia. Like, the Big 12 is an open book right now. Do I think they're going to have a college football playoff team? Absolutely not. I think Oklahoma State was their only shot because they were undefeated still. But now with Texas beating them, I don't think the Big 12 is going to have a representative in the college football playoff. What do you think, Mr. Nix?
I actually thought Oklahoma State should have won this game.
Mm-hmm.
There was a point, but there were two flashpoints, like you mentioned. Obviously, everyone's going to point towards the pass interference call, which is garbage. Now, it was just bad. It was a bad call. Do they still enforce? If they still enforce, I know it doesn't matter down there because obviously it was right near the goal line, but they still enforce. It's only 15 yards in college football, isn't it, as opposed to the spot of the foul?
In college football, like if
it used to be 15 yards, didn't it?
It's 15 yards, but if it's in the red zone, it's half the distance to the goal.
Yeah, which is obviously, goes without saying. But there was a flashpoint here in the fourth quarter. I think he made a catch. I don't know if you saw it. Stoner went completely laid out and caught this apps. Honestly, even I was like, Jesus! I thought it was amazing. This guy is going the other way and somehow stretching, makes this incredible catch. Anywhere else, if this happens in a proper pro league, holy shit! The world is on fire. Everyone's going to shout. I thought he made the catch. He clearly had possession. People are saying, oh well, the ball moves slightly in his hands. That's consequential when your hands up there.
What I saw in that,
they give him the first down. Ball gets turned over. Now, ultimately, they did come back and get the field goal to tie and take it to overtime. But with the momentum they had and with that catch, there's nothing saying they would have gone down the field and scored a touchdown. It took a lot of the time away because it gave another possession back. And, Texas kind of tried to run the clock down, as you would in that scenario. Right. They got the ball back, got a field goal. But I honestly think Stoner was penalised, and he shouldn't have been. That, for me, was a catch. It should have been a first down.
To me, on that catch, if you look at the ball, when he first catches it, that ball is skimming the grass as he's catching it. That's why I don't think it was a catch, because it looked like it hit the ground first and then was caught or trapped in his hands.
It's just,
so it was like a bang. It was a real bang. It was a real bang, bang catch.
It's because of the way he comes down with it, but I don't know. I remember at a point just screaming, going, "That's a fucking catch!" I was crazy for that. Not even an Oklahoma State fan. I just love good athleticism, and it just felt like everything that could be done to stop Oklahoma State from winning this game was done.
Happened.
There were a lot of terrible penalty calls. The pass interference is not a pass interference. You're entitled to stay on your feet, and his feet wrap up, and it's just well, what the fuck do you want him to do? He can't just go, okay, I'll move out of the way and let him catch it then and score a touchdown. Fuck off. He's got to contest the ball. He's not trying to deliberately contest the player, and that's where pass interference should be called. So, I got a bit people are probably going to be oh, upset Texas. That's good for ratings or neutrals or whatever. If you're, maybe a ranked team below them, you're thinking happy days, we can leapfrog them because of this. But it really felt like the referees were just Oklahoma State looked like they might win this. Flag, flag, flag. It's just come on. Give them. It was not. I don't think it was a level playing field. I'm sure a load of fucking Texas fans would be fuck you, you're just butthurt. It's I'm butthurt because I'm clearly from Oklahoma State, innit? I was a neutral.
I'm clearly from Oklahoma, and I talk like a British man.
Hello, Oklahoma State, What? Those dirty Sooners, we'll give them what for, I tell you, on the derby.
The derby.
the old firm, the old Oklahoma firm. I must admit, from a completely, useless, inbred neutral watching this, I just sat there and thought, Oklahoma State again, a little bit hosed in places. And it took a lot of the shine off. It was a great performance, actually, by Texas. They played so well, but it took some shine off of it because it felt like it was kind of half-earned.
Yeah.
That pass interference call pisses me off. It does. It was terrible call, and I think Stoner should have got the catch. So, fuck you.
Now, the team that will probably take that 6th ranking come next week will be Cincinnati, who absolutely destroyed Memphis 49-10 to become 5-0. Desmond Ridder was 21-26, 271 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. But he had 2 touchdown runs himself. So he accumulated 5 touchdowns by himself. Just insane numbers. Let's see. Jerome Ford had 9 carries, 116 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the Bearcats. And Alec Pierce had 3 receptions, 61 yards, and a touchdown to be their leading receiver. I like Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati, and it's not because I'm an Ohio guy. I like Cincinnati because I'm an Ohio guy, but I like Cincinnati as a.
How can you be an Ohio guy, but you support the Crimson Tide?
Well, because I still have Ohio pride. Like, unless it's Ohio State.
You've got no pride. What are you on about?
Fuck off. Unless it's Ohio State and they're going up against Alabama, I'll root for the Buckeyes. I'll root for the Bearcats. I'll root for the Bengals, the Browns, because I still have pride in my state. But to see Cincinnati at number 7, undefeated, I could honestly see them getting into a college football playoff.
You think they made the Final Four, then?
If they were in the top 8, for sure, Cincinnati would be in. Being that it's a Final Four, they're gonna need some help. And
they certainly got that in the Oklahoma State loss.
They got that in the Oklahoma State loss. They're gonna need help from Georgia, and they're gonna need help from obviously the Clemson Notre Dame game. That's gonna be a big one, because if Notre Dame beats Clemson, they'll just probably switch spots. Well, no, they won't switch spots. Alabama would go to 1. Notre Dame would probably go to 2. And Ohio State would stay 3, and Clemson would go to 4. But then they need a big loss from Georgia again, and they need help from that 4 seed to go down. And if Cincinnati can run the table, because they don't have a ranked opponent coming up. Cincinnati's roster or schedule is Houston, East Carolina, Central Florida, Temple, and then Tulsa, which is a makeup game from last week.
I mean, would you say Temple's probably the toughest fixture left there?
No, I would say Central Florida, probably. But then, of course, you have the American Athletic Conference Championship too, which that could be against this could be against Memphis again, or Tulsa, or.
I mean, if it's against Memphis again, they shouldn't have a problem ultimately.
They shouldn't, but when it comes down to the championship, that's when they start getting more in this focus of, hey, we get this championship, we can get to a bowl game, yay! But for Cincinnati, they have a legitimate shot to get into the college football playoff, and I hope they do. Because that would be a lower team that's not very known for their football. They're more known for basketball.
Well, yeah, I've never seen Cincinnati, I've never seen them win a national championship or never heard them being spoken about from a media standpoint.
Not for football. Not
got some nice players as well, by the look of it, athletic players.
Yeah.
Alec Pierce, beautiful touchdown catch early in the game.
Desmond
blew out a double coverage and just went straight up there. Just big, gangly wide receiver, the kind of player I like to see. I don't recall Memphis having much in this game. Other than Taj Washington, he broke free for a whopping great running touchdown in the end. What made me laugh about that was the fact that he just, most people, they just kind of run at full stretch and they get a touchdown. This kid genuinely looked like he was in a jailbreak scenario. It's like, he just looked terrified that I don't think he could quite believe that he'd broken free. He just looked so stunned by the whole thing, and then because obviously they bring out the graphics, don't they? Down here in the corner, and his headshot. He just looked like, this isn't because he's black, by the way, because I know people are going to be like, "You fucking racist." No, he just genuinely looked like it looked like a mugshot. He's like, "You motherfucker." And he's just like, but I mean, amazing touchdown to be fair. I didn't know. I just assumed because Cincinnati were ranked 7th coming into this 4-0. Memphis had a 3-1 record. I don't know what that means when you're on ranks. Have you beaten a team that's ranked 200? I don't know.
Right.
So it's kind of weird. I'm kind of waiting on the commentators to help me out with it. But I like the athleticism of Cincinnati. Whether they're good enough to. Obviously, I haven't seen them play a team like an Alabama or an LSU or whatever, so I don't know whether they'd be able to hold up against bigger teams.
That would be the question, and that's the only reason.
They look quite lightweight on defense. I know they didn't ship that many points in the end, but they looked a little slack.
Yeah, I could definitely see them getting exposed. I would just like to see them in the college football playoff because it would give the city of Cincinnati and the school a big push for recruitment and scholarship money. And that's ultimately what college football is for, is to get that scholarship money and to get recruitment up and to make the team better and to make the lifestyle better.
Yeah. You want a more competitive environment for these teams, and obviously you want these kids to do well and have a good scholarship, get a good education, have a good life ahead of them, especially going into such a just a crazy fucking scenario worldwide right now. But one of the things that I found weird about this game is, because I only watched the highlights, obviously I don't know if what I'm saying has much merit or not, but for me, like Memphis, for instance, they were going for it on fourth down because they're against, and I noticed this, a lot of teams when they were playing ranked teams would just keep going for it on fourth down because you don't know whether you're gonna, if you're in the end zone, if you're in the red zone and you're an unranked team, you're thinking, well, this might be already shot getting some points, so let's try and get it in the ball as much in the end as much as possible. And of course, because of that, you then sacrifice your field goals a lot, and that's what Memphis were doing, from what I could see in the highlights. There were a lot of opportunities at fourth down that were missed, well, they didn't make the plays. A couple of times actually where I thought they could have got pass interference in the end zone, which would have obviously helped them out tremendously. But I did watch this and think, oh, Memphis are just as good as Cincinnati. Clearly not. Cincinnati clearly a good footballing side, but at the same time, I looked at it for there are a lot of opportunities where you just thought, if they had actually converted that fourth down, or if they kind of come away with some points, the score wouldn't have looked so lopsided. So. It was like a blowout, but a technical blowout. It didn't feel like it clocked them and knocked them clean out. This would have been a TKO, not a complete KO, in boxing terms. So yeah. I mean, but it was nice to actually watch a game where I had no clue about either team and come away from it thinking, oh, that guy's good, that guy's good. That guy's got some talent. I'm trying to remember some names that I can remember going forward, especially in the case of Cincinnati, because obviously if you're pretty high on them, that means I'm going to be more interested in checking them out in the long run. So it'd be kind of nice to find their stream or whatever and watch them properly, because it's really hard to access college football over here now. Especially since I think it's on BT Sport, which I don't have. So it's very difficult. It used to be, all on just one channel.
You might be able to get TuneIn Radio and pull up the radio stations.
Yeah, I mean, I use TuneIn Radio quite a lot. I listen to ESPN Radio all day, whenever I'm doing work and stuff at home. So
yeah,
there's opportunities there. It's just, when you've got a picture, it's a lot more. Like
boxing, yeah, absolutely.
My mate's always like, oh, well, it's free on 5 Live. It's like boxing on the radio. Like, get fucked.
Next game was an upset, to say the least, and a rivalry game. Michigan State going up against Michigan. Michigan State coming off a loss against Rutgers, which Rutgers haven't won a game in the Big Ten since they came into the Big Ten. And Michigan coming off a big win against Minnesota, and they shit the bed. They shit the bed because
Michigan going into that game with Minnesota were only I think that was a both teams were ranked going into
both
that
teams
one.
were ranked
18 versus 21. So I don't know whether it's big because they're both ranked, but it was still a case of Michigan were favourites over Minnesota.
Yes.
And they were quite a rough time of it at the moment.
And they were favourites in this game too. They were favoured by 21.5. The over-under was 52.
That's not good to lose when you're a 21-point favourite.
No, not at all.
That sounds like the kind of thing that would lose you your job.
You would think, because guess what?
Is he? Yeah, Jim Harbaugh. Is he kind of like invincible? Has he got pictures of someone's penis? What's going on there?
I don't know.
Because he can't get big wins against big ranked opposition, and then he goes and fucking loses a game where it's like, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm paying you, like, these guys, like, what people don't realise, especially anyone who's English watching this, college football coaches get ludicrous money. Ludicrous, considering that they're not coached, like, some of them get paid more than NFL head coaches. It's terrifying. We're talking this season. And
Nick Saban makes almost $8 million for Alabama.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he gets results, so you can't argue with it when you think about the turnover and the differential in terms of finance. But at the same time, when you consider the majority of these players aren't going to see even a minuscule fraction of money like that, I think that's kind of insulting. And if I'm a player, I'm sitting here thinking, if I'm upstairs in charge of this unit, or whoever sort of talks down to Mr. Harbour, I'm thinking your players aren't playing out for you. They aren't turning up for you. They are not fucking willing to, sacrifice themselves for you. And if I'm a player, on the flip side, I'm thinking, motherfucker, this guy's getting 5-6 million a year and he can't get the best out of me. And we're fucking losing games like this. And people can say, oh, well, it's on the kids and all that. But ultimately, the buck, for me, college football, the buck starts and stops with the head coach far more than it does anywhere else. Because, for instance, people are talking about Mike McCarthy getting shit canned in Dallas in the NFL, and you think, okay, fair enough, but at the same time, you would expect Ezekiel Elliott to still play well, even if he doesn't like the coach. He's still one of the premier running backs. In college, there isn't that massive star disparity. So I don't understand how Jim Harbaugh keeps fucking every year. I seem to hear about him fucking up or making mistakes or not getting a big win against one of his big conference rivals, whatever it might be. And I wonder, he's been in that job a while now. It's not like he's been there for years. Why is he so invulnerable?
They like him because he's an alma mater. Because Jim
right.
played at.
He ain't fucking winning big games, is he? He ain't winning national championships.
Yeah, I don't understand it either.
Nick Saban, is he? Is this because he's got NFL pedigree? Because he used to be at the 49ers, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe that might be it, but I
got them to the Super Bowl, I think, didn't he?
It's yeah, he got him against the Ravens. But
the Harbaugh Bowl, or the Har Bowl.
The Har Bowl, yeah. But his record is just, I don't know, man. It's atrocious because in his record in college, he's 103-40.
That's not fantastic. I mean, what's Nick Saban?
In post
900-2.
I had to pull that up, but in his postseason, he's 2-5.
Yeah, that's not great, is it?
It's not great at all.
Basically the Dallas Cowboys of college football.
Yeah. Jesus. But somebody posted out a tweet.
Texas.
Somebody posted out a tweet, and it was very shocking to me when I saw this. Jim Harbaugh, between his rivalry games, which is Ohio State and Michigan State, 1-6 in the past 6 years. 1-6.
Exactly why I think they need coaching change. He's had enough years to get it done, and he hasn't.
The last time Ohio State lost to Michigan, Brady Hoke was the coach, and he came from Ball State. Nobody heard of him. He came from Ball State, went to Michigan after Lloyd Carr retired, and he beat Ohio State twice. Harbaugh can't do it once to save his dick. It's pathetic.
I don't get why he still has a job.
I honestly
people are fired for a lot less than this.
I honestly think it's because the athletic director doesn't want to try and find another coach.
Or he's got pics of the athletic director with his penis stuck in a moose or something. Right? It must be the case.
Right? He's got a northern pike on his cock. No
need to lower the tone, Jeremy. For fuck's sake. Implied anal, division will do. We don't need to then paint a picture for the audience. Look at this diagram of this elk.
Oh my God.
As you can see, the anus clearly splits here and here.
But for Michigan State, this is a big win. Coming off of a loss against Rutgers, this is a rivalry win. And they were coming in, they weren't expected to do much. And Rocky Lombardi, I don't know if he has any relation to,
I was just going to ask that, yeah.
Vince or any of that. Himself. I mean, he's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid. I mean, I don't know. But might be. 17 of 32, 323 yards, and 3 touchdowns in this game. Just what? Like, where did this kid come from? I know he's in East Lansing because they're praising him left and right because he just beat Michigan. But, like, I'm sorry. If Jim Harbaugh can't get it done against Michigan State and they just lost against Rutgers, that sure as hell means he ain't getting it done against Ohio State. So why has he still got a job? Like, I almost feel bad for Michigan fans because they have to put up with this. The Jim Harbaugh experience is dead. Bury it, put a rose on it, and fucking move on.
Mate, if I said that before you do, there must be a problem. Like, because I don't know jack shit about college football, and even I know you can have a job. That's not good. That's not good at all.
It's not good. Next, we go to the Kansas State and West Virginia game, and like
West Virginia by the river.
Yeah, West Virginia, they beat the hell out of Kansas State, and Kansas State was ranked 16th in the country. It was 37-10 for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, I'll tell you who ended up by the river. They were in the river. Fucking Kansas.
They were in a van down by the river. That's where they were.
Really funny you mention that. There's I'm good friends with a couple of guys in the British wrestling scene called the Bruisers.
Okay.
And they are known Lomax and Gilligan. Hi, boys. Two monstrous units. Base their ring gear and their look after Big Van Vader. Lomax especially, he's like 6'6", 400 pounds, massive man. And their catchphrase is, when we're done with you, you'll be living in a van down by the river.
The classic.
They're like the good old Southern boys, but for Britain, it's really good. Really good
the
stuff.
Classic Chris Farley.
Just one Confederate flag away from having a great time, I tell you.
Oh, Jesus. But yeah,
actually very intelligent boys.
Kansas State was using a true freshman quarterback. His name is Will Howard. He was 19-37, 184 yards, and 1 touchdown. That sounds pretty good, except for the 3 interceptions.
No, it doesn't sound good. No, it doesn't. Don't try and cover that. Don't try and fucking make excuses just because he's a freshman. And every time I hear freshman, I can't unsee Chris getting paddled on Family Guy when he's a freshman at post school, you know? And everyone's like, freshman. And they're all like chasing him around like fucking weird zombies trying to paddle him because, you know, beat up the freshman. Yep. We're all about hazing in this household, young man. Builds character, Watto. But yeah, like, yeah, don't try and cover for him. Like, those interceptions were bad. I don't think, you know, less than 200 yards passing. Not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
Next game.
Especially, you know, ranked 16th. Come on. Do better.
Right. Well, West Virginia's next game is going to be their make or break one because it's West Virginia and Texas. That's going to be
West Virginia ranked after this?
They are not ranked, which makes no sense because Texas has got the same record, but they're ranked, but they knocked off number 6 Oklahoma State, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be ranked if you knock off the top 10.
And then Oklahoma is 4-2, so is Iowa State, and they're ranked, but West Virginia is not. I don't know. That's weird to me.
Maybe they will be by the end of the season.
They might be.
I'll tell you what, Sunshine, less than 200 yards and 3 picks. That isn't good. Never mind whether Miller thinks it's good or not. Miller has very low standards, obviously.
I was giving the kid a chance.
No, he's a freshman. Paddle him.
Paddle him.
The
next
game. Send him over and paddle him. Just
Jesus.
paddle, please. Nothing else. I know how excited you fucking college kids get.
The next game was an absolute blowout and makes this team 6-0 and probably ranked higher than 20 right now. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers paddled the Georgia State Wildcats 51-0.
You know why they paddled them? Because they're priests.
The Chanticleers?
You said that the Chanticleers were from a religious area. It's like a Bible Belt sort of place.
Chanticleers, they're the rooster from Canterbury Tales. Remember?
Cock.
You're the one that looked that up.
Yeah, but you said something about priests and the
That was the
Chanticleers.
that was the demon deacons.
Oh yeah,
Of Wake
those.
Forest.
Yeah, they're the ones who bum altar balls. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Um, allegedly.
Jesus Christ. Allegedly.
Oh yeah, like anyone from that school's gonna. I don't think anyone in that school even knows what YouTube is. I won't worry about that. Probably don't have the funds for that. Right? Probably still got Archimedes in the back. Yeah, no, the only reason I found this score is because I thought the Chanticleers. I was furious at their name. I was just like, fuck you. It's like so like random and out there. So I thought, like just call yourself the Dirty Bears or something, whatever. Like Falcons do, whatever. But like, yeah, no, that's just like you didn't even get a point. Wildcats. More like a bag of kittens being beaten down the river.
Yeah.
Not good, man. Not good at all. So.
Grayson McCall.
What I can say is I hope that you get a good education.
Grayson McCall, Coastal Carolina's quarterback, accumulated 5 touchdowns, 4 in the air. He was 18 to 24, 254 yards, and 4 in the air. And he also ran for 1. So, good game or good day for Grayson McCall.
I'm doing my best impression of the Wildcats defense.
Oh, and by the way, I showed you the clip of the guy from Georgia State punching McCall in the face and not getting ejected.
Was that in this game?
That was this game. Yeah. That was
you made a fucking for an American, you didn't have to make a big deal out of this. Like for me, that's just a Saturday night down the pub. You were like, oh my god, ejections, and I was just like, to be honest,
okay,
I don't think it was a punch. It was like an open palm slap. You can't take it seriously when you're punching guys. By the way, right, if you punch somebody and they're wearing a helmet, who's the real tard over here? Like,
that's true.
Enjoy your broken hand, dipshit. Like, fucking. I honestly didn't think much of it. Not, if you go back and watch the highlights from the fucking, I think it was the Seahawks game tonight. It's just fucking violence erupting all over the place. It's just hilarious. Like, handbags, man. It's what we call it over here, handbags.
Yeah.
It was like, I challenge you to a duel, and he just slapped him around the face with his glove. Like, whatever. Wasn't that big a deal. You seem to be very emotional about it, though. Like, obviously.
Well, it clearly looked like a punch. And it's not like McCall did anything to deserve it. He was trying to break up the pile.
That's exactly it. He was trying to be a good guy. You know what happens to good guys? They get punched in the jawline. There's a lesson for you, kids, if you're watching this. Don't try and break things up. Stay out of the fucking way, mind your own business, unless you're willing to throw hands. Got to learn the hard way, man. Stick your nose in, and your nose gets broken. It's as simple as that. Snitches get stitches, bruv. And that's exactly what happened to this boy. He stuck his knee and went, I'll just break it up. Oh, break it up, otherwise I'll have to tell you're going to tell somebody. Oosh, cheeky little fucking elbow across the fucking forearm, mate. Make sure he fucking keeps his mouth shut. You know what I'm saying?
I know
like a mafia hit.
Yeah.
Understand it? So, yeah, next time, son. Next time, take your helmet off and take it like a man.
Next game we had was...
He barely fucking hit him. It was a slap.
Okay. Well, either way.
You watch fucking wrestling and MMA? Like,
yeah.
Come on.
That's true.
It wasn't exactly Conor versus fucking Diaz, was it?
Oh, no, absolutely not. The next game we had was Iowa State going up against the Kansas Jayhawks, and I feel so sad for this football team. They are 0-6 this year.
Because they suck.
They suck. Iowa State 4-2 now. They won 52-22.
Yeah.
The spread was 27, so they covered that. The over-under was 50. They did that by themselves. And Iowa State's running back, Breece Hall, 21 carries, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns. This kid is speedy. Like, there's a couple of times. He is. There's a couple of times where he just spun off somebody and just took off. Like, he like, don't touch me. Get away from me. And took off. Like, gone. Look for his name in the upcoming drafts. He's a sophomore this year. Look for him next year. I guarantee he comes out as a junior. Kid's a fucking speed freak. Next game we have
Probably
is
be a punt returner.
probably will.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. Don't underestimate special teams players and a kid like that. If I'm the Broncos, for instance, we got lousy special teams. Looking at that guy, I'm thinking you're rapid. All you gotta do is break a few tackles or find a lane, and boom, you are gone. That could be the difference in a lot of games. You know, a kid like that could get picked up very nicely. Ultimately, though, you worry about if he's going to be too lightweight. Moving at that kind of speed in the NFL could end up really damaging you if you haven't got the ball behind you.
Well, that's like Jalen Waddle. He was the kickoff returner for Alabama, and he tore his ACL.
Shellacked.
But yeah, sometimes I don't like the top guy being like the top speed guy or the top like receiver or running back being the return guy because of that reason. He was your number one receiver, and now he's out for the season because he got hurt on a kickoff. Like that's a big hit.
Job deliberation, isn't it? They should know where to put these guys, and it's a very different prospect when you're coming in at that pace into a tackle as opposed to going up for the ball inside the tackle, so to speak. So
right.
Yeah.
So the next game we got on the docket is Indiana coming off of their win against Penn State, going up against Rutgers, who won against Michigan State. Both teams were 1-0 coming in, and Indiana crushed Rutgers. 37-21 was the final.
Does that sound like a crushing?
A lot of the games were a lot of the points were scored in garbage time. So, because at one point it was 21-7, and then finally Rutgers in the second half came back and scored some. Michael Penix Jr. 17-26, 238 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's the guy that we'll remember as the one that beat Penn State, because he's the guy who stretched out for that touchdown to beat the Nittany Lions. And now, essentially, because of that, Indiana's 2-0 and ranked 17th in the country. Their leading receiver for Indiana, and I've had a couple of years seeing this guy, and his name is just fantastic, but his hands are better. Whop Philyor.
Whop. Fucking hell.
W-H-O-P. Whop.
Thank God, because W-O-P is a slang racial term for a European over it.
Yeah, I'm like, I heard that.
They go whop. Not a good thing either.
Yeah, the first time I watched an Indiana game and they're like, Whop Philyor on the catch. Like, I'm sorry, what? Whop? No, that's not good.
Think yourself lucky Whop isn't being marked by Clinton Dix.
Talking now about your Boise State Broncos. Yes, 49-30 over the Air Force Academy to go 2-0.
Some of that, mate. What did I tell you? Mate. Classic.
Yeah. Jack Sears.
Hand us a national championship at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Can you all play in blue or on blue? I don't think you can.
I mean, there's been some times where people...
Tell you what, I'd rather watch the Boise State Broncos than Dallas and Philadelphia right now because they are stinking out, man. It's fucking awful. Got it on in the background, and honestly,
I don't even want to know.
You might have noticed I'll be on the cut at the times doing this podcast. Not because I'm tired. So I'm literally fucking dying of boredom watching these two fucking melt. Terrible.
Is it that bad?
Terrible. 6-7 coming into the half.
Oh. Well, you got to be fair. Dallas is starting DiNucci.
Yeah, who literally threw the ball right into Gallup's hands and he just dropped it outright. Like, he's just targeting Gallup like crazy at the moment. Like, he's to be fair, he's actually got some decent completions on him, but this is just two very, very bad football teams, and because it's such a big divisional rival, it's just been televised. Anyway, that's been the NFL book.
Yep, for the NFL. So yeah, Boise State won 49-30. Next game we have was the number 8 ranked Texas A&M Aggies going up against Arkansas. I was thinking that Arkansas was going to win this one. You called Texas A&M, and sure enough, the Aggies prevailed 42-31.
Put one in the dub column for me.
Yeah.
Dub so big you could surf on it.
Texas A&M's only loss has been to Alabama. That's a good thing.
Exactly. Like, if you've only lost to arguably the greatest franchise in the history of college football, you're doing all right.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, but
Alabama,
Arkansas they were no slouches in this game. They were definitely no slouches in this game.
Well, no, because they've all got to go home to their sheds, haven't they, where they marry their cousins. So they obviously want to make a game of it. Sorry, I'm joking. Like I'm ever going to be found in Arkansas. Look at me. And like, this man got a little tan. I've seen on that magic speaking box about how he going to blow things up. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jesus. The next game we've got is Missouri and Florida. And this one, I don't know if you saw the highlights on this one.
No, I haven't seen this. Did Missouri win?
The halftime show was better than the game. They got into a brawl.
Oh, nice.
Straight brawl.
Well, I'm bored of fucking Dallas, so let's have a look at this brawl on YouTube.
And they had 3 people ejected, and every player and the coaches got an unsportsmanlike penalty.
Sorry, is Missouri and who?
Missouri and Florida.
Is it Missouri Valley College?
Nope, just Missouri. The Missouri Tigers and the Florida Gators.
Missouri football. Tigers versus Florida Gators. Here we are. Florida Gators are quite a decent franchise. That's where Tim Tebow came from, right? Ranked number 10 coming into this as well.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they do that, don't they? Titus O'Neill's a Florida Gator, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
So, why did this brawl break out exactly? I'm just fast-forwarding through YouTube to find the brawl.
It should be a halftime. You could just put in Florida-Mizzou brawl, and trust me, it's there.
When you say at the half, right?
Yeah, it was at the half.
I take it won this game.
Florida won 41-17. Kyle Trask went off like a freaking rocket. Him and Kadarius Toney just, oh, my God.
Is there going to be fines for this?
Oh, there should be. Absolutely.
This was an SEC game as well, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
It's supposed to be a division of more class.
Uh-huh. That's why there's definitely going to be fines for this game.
Naughty little Gators. Naughty.
Naughty Gators and
getting all spicy at number 10, are we, with the 3-1? Whoa, suit you, sir. Fancy a bit of a brawl, sir? Oh, Missouri, sir. Oh, Missouri, more like. Oh, suit you, sir. At the half, sir. 20-7. Oh, suit you.
Yeah,
I'll stop that shit. I can do that all day.
That's great.
Car show,
yeah,
mate.
Kyle,
show on YouTube.
Like I said, Kyle Trask, he went off 21-36, 345 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. He also had 6 carries for 47 yards on his own. And he threw 3 of those 4 touchdowns to Kadarius Toney, which wasn't the leading receiver for the Gators in this entire game anyways. Toney had 3 – wait, what? That's not right. Oh, that's rushing. Never mind. 4 catches, 60 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then he also had 3 carries for 23 yards and a touchdown. So Kadarius Toney had 3 of the Gators' touchdowns, 2 on the air, 1 on the ground. But then, like, he just threw it everywhere. Trask is a really good name. Remember him for the draft in about a year or 2. He's a good kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders, knows where to throw it, knows how to do it.
Part of the brawl then.
Except for the brawls, yeah. He will brawl the shit out of you. Next game we have is the Navy.
In the Navy. You can throw the ball downfield in the Navy.
You can get your ass kicked by a Mustang in the Navy.
What's the final score for this bad boy?
51-37.
Oh, but I'll tell you what, they put up a fair amount of points then. As you would expect from a good naval bum chum, plenty of offense.
The over-under was 59. So
see, I gave the Air Force a load of stick in the last. No, I said like, oh, the Navy, the Air Force is where the real men are, and ultimately my team had to play the Air Force, so I didn't think that one through.
But like, the over/under was 59, and SMU almost put 59 up themselves.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
I bet this was a good one to watch from the neutral perspective.
Oh, yeah, from a neutral perspective, it was probably amazing.
Why is it like, has historically the armed forces ever been reasonable at this? Have they ever won a national championship or anything like that?
No, they haven't won a national.
You'd think with the
Navy did.
And the power and the fitness they go through, that they'd surely have an advantage.
The Naval Academy has won. I don't know if they've won a national title, but they have had. Roger Staubach was from the Naval Academy, and he was a Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, he was. Fucking shit, even on that.
Yeah, so that's one good thing for the Naval Academy.
Was there a brawl in this game? Because ultimately, that's the only thing I care about now.
There was no brawl in this game.
I demand a weekly brawl. Somebody's got to step up to the plate, and every week I want to see a brawl of some sort.
That's funny. No, there was no weekly brawl in this game. Ulysses Bentley IV.
Excuse me? I read one of his novels back in the Greek era. Fantastic work.
Yeah. Ulysses Bentley IV for SMU had 25 carries, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also led the receiving corps with 4 receptions for 68 yards. Are you trying? And I feel bad for this team. We have Virginia go over North Carolina 44-41. Now, you say that's not much of an upset.
Sounds like quite a good one for the neutrals, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It was a great game.
For sure.
But I feel bad for North Carolina because 2 weeks ago they went in, number 5 in the country, went into Florida State, into Tallahassee, and got stumped by the Noles. And then they ended up winning against, I think it was North Carolina State, their rivalry game. Then they faced a Virginia team that's 2-4. Well, they were 1-4 at this point. And now they're 2-4 because they ended up getting a win against North Carolina. So it's like their 2 losses were against absolute shit teams. And it makes you wonder, like, why? You guys were 5th in the country. You can't put away Florida State or Virginia?
Why is that, do you think?
Overconfidence?
Well, you think they've literally, it's just a case of they're like, yeah, whatever.
I do.
We're better than we think we are.
I really do, because they've got a rivalry game going up against Duke next week. Then they've got the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. And they got Notre Dame, Miami to finish out the season.
So do these Deacons hang around in the Wake Forest? Or, just out of curiosity?
I think so.
That doesn't sound like something you want to run into in a forest.
No, you definitely do not want to run into a Demon Deacon in the forest. Going over Texas Tech, 62-28.
Yeah, that was a blowout.
That was an absolute ridiculousness. And then Western Kentucky tried to show up against BYU and didn't. BYU won 41-10. Zach Wilson.
Probably your microphone there, mate.
Huh?
Oh, your microphone's rustling quite a lot.
Oh, is it? Shit. Zach Wilson, who is the second best quarterback in the draft coming in and the second favorite to the Heisman. He was 18-32, 224 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. He also had a touchdown run as well. So he accumulated 4 touchdowns by himself.
Good day.
Good day indeed.
Good day at the office.
Yep.
Give that man a pie.
And that was top 25.
There you go. Job's a good one.
Yep, that will be the good one.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear anything else.
There's definitely going to be more than one podcast made out of this.
I fucking hope so.
If you like what you see, please leave a like and a subscribe and a comment down below if you don't
Look
like
at me. I'm the Jets defense.
That's fucking great.
Well, I did turn up for a second at least. I like how every time I laugh, I appear more. I'm like some big, fat, jolly NFL Santa. You've been very naughty.
Please follow us on the Twitter at Sly
Please
Fox
do. We
Sports
have no
Pod.
friends.
Sly Fox Sports Pod.
I feel like I'm tweeting to myself. I'm like, that was a great touchdown. Look at this video. One person likes it. I'm like, thanks, one person who for some reason found me. Follow us. Follow our social media.
Follow us all.
And as I always say, send me some money. PayPal.me/R100PW. I need money badly. Hey, British, we're entering into a full nationwide lockdown for a month, which means that I will have no opportunities to work whatsoever. So if anyone wants a painting or some design or something and wants to help me out with a little bit of kickback and help put some food on the table, it would be greatly appreciated. Obviously, I don't ask for money for free. If you do donate money to my PayPal, I'll make sure you get a drawing of something that you like.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe I can draw your favourite NFL footballer. I can do a cheeky little sketch or a caricature or something, whatever you like. Or I could draw you as a footballer running over your wife because she annoys you. Because she is a cold-hearted, widowed bitch. Or maybe I could, draw Jules with her massive bazookas killing Jeremy. Like slapping his head repeatedly between the two of these massive wagon wheels. Or we could just get this podcast taken off the air for being so unbelievably lewd and racist and disgraceful and everything else in between. I love college football. This is where I tend to have my most fun.
College football's a blast.
College football's great. I love college football. I don't have a clue what's going on, but
all right, folks.
We'll do some more reaction videos for you.
Absolutely. We'll have some more reactions, and we'll catch you later on the Sly Fox Sports Podcast. Bye.
Thanks, guys.